In the rolling hills of Derbyshire, far from the bustle of modern life, lies a hidden, forgotten place, known only to a few. Mermaids Pool, tucked deep in the heart of the moors, surrounded by dense trees and jagged rocks. The pool is deceptively beautiful. Its still waters shimmer with an eternal glow, casting a spell of tranquility over anyone who dares to approach it. But there is something ancient and sinister about it, something that lurks beneath the surface, waiting for the wrong soul to come too close. The locals, though few who still remember the old stories, speak of the pool in hushed tones. They say the water is cursed, that it draws the unwary with promise of beauty and serenity, only to drag them into the depths, never to be seen again. But not many know why. The tale begins centuries ago, when the village near the pool was thriving and full of life. It was a small, secluded community, reliant on the land and the river that ran nearby, but there was a secret, a dark legend that haunted the village's dream, the story of the mermaid who lived in the pool. Her name was Erin, a beautiful creature with long flowing hair, the colour of moonlight, and eyes as deep and dark as the waters of the pool. She was a siren, a being of both wonder and terror, whose songs would float on the wind during the dead of night. They say her voice was hypnotic, enchanting all who heard it. She was beautiful, but she was also dangerous. Some believe she had once been human, a maiden cursed to live as a mermaid after betraying an ancient sea god. Others said she was the daughter of the devil himself, sent to lure the souls of the living to their doom. One fateful evening, a young shepherd named Fred, weary from his long day of tending sheep on the moors, found himself near the pool, drawn by the strange melody that seemed to rise from the depths of the water. He wandered closer. The sound was like no other he had ever heard. So sweet, so pure, it soothed him, calmed him, and made him forget the burdens of his life. As he stepped closer to the pool, he saw her, Erin, sitting on a smooth stone by the water's edge. Her pale skin glowed in the moonlight, and her long hair flowed around her like an underwater current. Her eyes locked onto his, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. "Come closer," she whispered, her voice like the wind rustling through the trees. "Come to me, and I will show you a world beyond this one." Fred, entranced by her beauty and the power of her song, took a step towards the water. His heart raced in anticipation, but deep down, a small part of him screamed to turn away, to run. He had heard the stories, but in the face of such beauty, they seemed like nothing more than old wives' tales. Surely there was no harm in a little curiosity. With each step, the water grew colder, the air grew heavier. Fred felt a strange compulsion, a force pulling him closer, as though the pool itself was calling to him. When he was but a few feet away from the edge, the water began to stir. It rippled as if it was alive, and Erin's form shimmered in the moonlight, her eyes gleaming with an unsettled intensity. "Do you wish to join me? You will never be alone again," she asked, her voice now dripping with something darker. Before Thomas could respond, she reached out and touched his hand. The moment her fingers brushed his skin, a wave of cold surged through his body, and he felt as though his soul was being pulled from his body. The next thing he knew, he was in the water, sinking, surrounded by an endless abyss. He tried to scream, but no sound could come out. He couldn't breathe. His vision blurred as the last bubbles of air escaped from his lips, and he was dragged deeper into the pool, his limbs frozen by the unnatural cold. "Ha ha ha ha!" Erin's laugh echoed through the water, the sound like an echo of his own terror. As he descended further, he saw the ghostly forms of those who had come before him, men, women, and children, all trapped in the water. their face twisted in silent screams, their eyes empty, their bodies decayed and lifeless. They had once been lured by her song, just as he had, and now they too were part of her eternal collection, condemned to the watery depths for eternity. From that night on, the village was never the same. The shepherd, Fred, was never seen again. His disappearance, like the others before him, was written off as an accident, but the villagers knew. They had always known. Years passed and the pool became more cursed, its pool growing stronger. Those who ventured too close to Mermaid's pool began to hear the soft whispers of Erin's song. The beauty of the place only served to lure them deeper into its grips. The waters, still as glass, reflected the moonlight as though they were an entrance to another world, a world where the living were not welcome. One night, many years later, a young woman named Lily, a historian, reaching local legends, came to the village. She had heard about the pool, about the strange disappearance that had plunged the area, and she was determined to uncover the truth. Despite the warnings from the villagers, she made her way to Mermaid's pool. When she arrived, she found the pool eerily quiet, the air thick with a strange, oppressive feeling. The water seemed to shimmer with a life of its own, glowing faintly in the moonlight. Lily, though skeptical of the stories, was intrigued. She knelt down by the edge of the pool, staring into its depths. For a moment, everything was still. Then the song began, soft, melodic, and haunting. The voice reached out to Lily, threading through her mind like a thread of silk. It was beautiful, too beautiful. Lily's heart skipped a beat. She knew what it was. She had heard the stories. She should leave. She should run. But as she stood frozen, she saw her, Erin, rising from the water, her pale skin gleaming in the darkness. Her hair flowing around her like a dark flowing river, her eyes locked onto Lily's, and for a moment she smiled. "Come closer," Erin whispered, her voice now full of promise. "Join me, and you'll never have to be alone again." Lily's breath caught in her throat, and she took a hesitant step towards the water. Lily, another poor soul, to be claimed by the siren's song. Some say she still lingers by the pool, to this day, her body pale and cold, her eyes hollow, with the same curse that claimed all who had came before her. The song still calls to anyone who dares to listen, and those who hear it, who are drawn to the water, never return. Mermaid's Pool remains, as it has always been, a place of beauty and a place of death, a place where the mermaid waits for her next victim.